another Sims 4 Create Sim here on my channel. We are continuing on with my D&D characters turned into Sims, or at least tried to the best of my abilities to turn them into Sims. Obviously with D&D there are some races that are not going to be looking very similar to their actual race in Sims, but I'll try my best. As for today's, she is pretty close to humanoid, so not too challenging, but that is going to be Eira Frostgrove here. So she is an Aasimar, and with the Aasimar, what they are is basically children of angels. One parent is a mortal and one is an angel of some kind. So, a lot of times, you know, their looks take on the look of the one who is not, like, the angel. So, I decided to make her a snow elf because we are still continuing on with the ones that were loosely inspired by the evolutions. And this one is Glaceon. So, having her being a snow elf, which, if you remember watching Nita's, is technically, like, the Eldrin elf, which is seasonal. But for me, I'm personally, like, if I make any other Eldrin elves, I'm going to probably pick a season that is more of their focus. So, for this case, Snow Elf, aka Winter. Technically, Eira and Nita technically have, like, at least some similar background when it comes to the race, because though Eira is an Aasimar, she does have Snow Elf lineage, so she looks like a Snow Elf, but she is an Aasimar. I do actually end up using the same skin details on Eira as I did Nita, but because I added a few extra things on Eira to actually, like, I have, like, these things that are I think they're in my makeup and also in my tattoo section, where I can add, like, glitter, like, body glitter, body frost, or whatever, on them, and it almost gives them a shiny glow. I've already used it on a few of the characters, I think, by now. I definitely know I used it on Fee, and I used it in, like, some of the Elder Scrolls CAS Sims as well. So, I've talked about it before, and you might remember seeing it. I'm pretty sure I use it on her, and it actually ends up giving her a slight difference. And I know because when I went to go take Eira's screenshots, luckily the area where I was taking the screenshots, randomly Nita Sim decided to walk on by, and I was able to actually compare what they looked like right beside each other. And the way that I ended up doing, like, the makeup and a few of the extra stuff here and there, it actually makes Eira and Nita look slightly different from the skin tone. It's not the exact skin tone, which, you know, they are both Snow Elf lineage, so if they had a very similar skin tone, would have made sense, but I'm glad that they're not exact. So I was glad to see that. But you should have already seen my drawing of Eira at the very beginning there, so that you could see sort of what I was using to go off of, as well as the colors that were sort of in my noggin, and was getting them out because I don't have colored versions of them drawn or painted out or anything like that. So all the colors are still mainly in my head. But I have the drawings to show you. So other things about Eira is she is 6'2" in height. I don't have her age written down, and I can't remember. I know originally I was like, do Aasimar have their own set age, even though they physically look usually like the other race, or do they go by that race? And sometimes people play it by, like, their own, like, feeling. Like, sometimes people just do the Aasimar more aging versus some do whatever other race they were technically. So I think for her I was gonna go a little bit more to the elf end, but not make it quite as long. So, like, it was basically like she has a blend of the two. So she lives longer than your normal Aasimar potentially would, but not quite as long as a snow elf would. But I forgot to write down the age that I finally decided on, and I don't remember at this point, so good job, me. Good job. But she is actually a Way of the Ascended Dragon monk, and I'm going to specifically be giving her, because this subclass is slightly newer, and it's basic, like, you could choose, like, different elemental things and stuff. It does have a dragon, like, lineage thing going on, sort of, if I remember correctly. It's a newer one, So I don't fully, even though I gave it to 2 of my D&D characters, I'm still learning things and still trying to memorize things. I read things and I forget them very quickly. So, but yeah, it is supposed to have like some dragon connections, but you know, again, don't always have to play it exactly like that if you're, as long as you're not a rules guru, whatever they call them, rule Nazi, something like that. I don't remember, something. Anyway. But yeah, I was basically going to be focusing on all of the cold related things, you know, because she is a ice, snowy person, sort of more cold. And that was what I was going to focus on. Eira's backstory basically was, you know, she is, with Asmars, they do have, like, you know, basically they're connected to whatever god or whatever the angel's from. Basically for her it would be over winter, so she does have a very huge appreciation for winter and sort of make sure things in winter stays track and like people are more aware of stuff like going on during the winter. So winter is her thing, snow is her thing, ice, you know, all that sort of stuff. But she actually ends up falling in love and marrying, which is definitely different from my Glaceon that is just like a sim a version of Glaceon. This is D&D version of Glaceon. They are very different in this aspect. She ends up finding another Asmar. She falls in love with him. They actually get married. I think I named him, what did I name? Oz or Ozzy or something along those lines. I can't remember his name right now. But they end up having a child. The child's name is not original, but you know what? I didn't care. I both wanted them to be like under like the same deity, so you know they're like connected to winter and stuff like that. So the daughter's name was Snow. Yeah, again, not very creative, but basically, you know, they traveled around together and, you know, tend to stay in the colder areas. If an area ended up getting warm for the season, they'd move somewhere else that was colder. So yeah, they travel around, but then they were actually attacked at one point. And while trying to protect his daughter, Eira's husband did lose his life, and the daughter was taken. So Eira's huge goal is to actually go out and find her daughter, and figure out, like, you know, she doesn't, like, it was in the nighttime, so she couldn't see things very well at the time. Like, wasn't 100% sure who they were, because it was like super, like, it was like a new moon, so super dark, and it was chaos, and you know, and a lot of times in those panicky situations, even if you can see, a lot of details just sort of escape your mind, so she's not 100% sure who even attacked her. She remembers a few things here and there, and that's what she's using to try and figure out who took her daughter, also going to nearby places and asking around. She eventually is, she runs into, or I should say the group runs into her, because they end up hearing stories about this strange, like, Asmar lady that's been sort of acting weird up on the mountain, and they go to figure out what's going on, and they find Eira, and Eira tells them the story, and they're like, hey, you're welcome to join us on our travels. Maybe you'll find your daughter, or at least find some information about your daughter, and if we hear anything, you know, we'll definitely tell you. So it was sort of a situation like that, and that's why she joins the group, because she wants to be able to find her daughter, and she also wants to help them so that they're more inclined to basically help her find their daughter. So they're like, she's like, in mindset, if I do this stuff for them, if I help them in battle and stuff here and there, they'll feel more inclined, hopefully, to ask around about my daughter when I'm not around. So that's sort of her mindset for, you know, traveling with them and stuff. My notebook is falling. Now, as far as in the Sims world here, I gave her the aspiration of super parent because her daughter Snow is, like, very important to her. I will technically, Snow is one of the few, like, characters that is connected to these characters' backstories that I will be creating in Sims, and she will be freely walking around the world, technically. But basically, we're gonna go with the fact that she's, like, you know, been kidnapped and she's lost and wandering around or something. So yeah. So Snow will be mated, but I'm not going to make her a video. Like, I'm going to be making Itzel's sister for sure. Potentially his mother as well. But, So there's a few side characters here and there that I'm going to make that are reference to their backstories that I'm just going to let freely walk around the world and see what happens as they walk around. But her traits are family-oriented, jealous, neat, proper, and ambitious. I am hopefully going to have the mod that allows them to have 5 traits. If not, if she only is allowed to have 3, it's going to be family-oriented, proper, and jealous. Now, the jealous trait comes in with the fact that she had someone that she loves, that she loved very dearly, and that person's been taken away from her. So she does get jealous when she sees other people, basically, having a relationship, and, like, you know, she doesn't have that. And the fact that Itzel and Vaya sort of have this strange thing going on, sometimes, in my head, I imagine Eira sometimes gets, like, ugh, about it, because, you know, she doesn't have her significant other, so it's not that she necessarily wishes ill will on other people that actually have, like, someone that they love with them. It's just more the fact that she really hates that she doesn't have that. And she won't necessarily try to split people up just so that they also are alone like she is, but she's just a little upset because she's lost her husband. She lost her love. But yeah, anyway, so that's why that trait comes in. I feel like sometimes the traits are self-explanatory, and then I have a few traits that I have to probably explain a little bit more to why I give them to her proper, is because partially because she's an Asmar, and to me, like, Asmar are very proper beings in my head. So yeah, that's sort of why I gave her that. But anyway, I hope you like how Eira turned out. I am super happy with how she turned out. I think she's stunning. And I also had too much fun taking the screenshots with her in the snow. So it was a lot of fun taking those screenshots. I hope you like how she turned out. If so, please hit that lovely like button. Subscribe. You know, that lovely YouTube goodiness, so that you can see the future characters that are in the series. There are still quite a few more to come. We are getting to the end of the ones that are based off the evolutions. We only have one more, and then we'll be going on to my random D&D characters. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on Eira down below, and let me know who is your favorite up to this point. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. But until then, bye-bye!